Well, hello, kia ora. Welcome to the preamble for this exciting live podcast from WOMAD in New Plymouth with the effervescent Morgana O'Reilly, where we talked about all manner of things, including sucking toes. Just thought I'd pop in and say thanks to everyone who turned out and for the Poetry Slam as well. We had a marvellous weekend of events. And speaking of events, this week, Austin Found is on the 27th and 28th of March at Q Loft. Olive Copperbottom is in the Stratford Shakespeare Festival on April 4th, and then back to New Plymouth for the Tempestuous on May 16th to 18th, before I do a tour to Australia with Promise and Promiscuity in June, then Canada and the UK. But enough of me, it's all on my website, hotpink.co.nz. Let's get back to the star of the show, the star of the White Lotus, and the star that is Morgana O'Reilly. Cue the music.
Come on, make some noise, Come on. Thank you very much, everybody. Wait for the music to end. Hooray! Hello, everybody. Kia ora koutou, haere mai, and welcome along to a Showy Ovaries live podcast record. Woo! Excited? Make some noise if you've listened to Showy Ovaries before. Yeah! Quite a lot more than I expected. Make some noise if you have no idea what Showy Ovaries is. Welcome. It's time to indoctrinate you. I thought before we brought up our fabulous guest this evening that I would just give you a little bit of a background into Showy Ovaries. First of all, hello everyone. My name is Penny Ashton. I am the host of Showy Ovaries. And what happened was, it was lockdown 2021. We'd already gone through about 2 years of WOMAD.
Clearly, at this point, I mean 2 years of COVID, not WOMAD. That makes no sense.
And I'd sort of kept going, I'd kept doing shows. I'm a performer, and it just got to this point, and then lockdown happened, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, is my career even going to keep going? I'm an onstage theatre performer, and I was like, excuse me, I'm going to be a bit sweary. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? And my husband just looked at me, who's down there, and I was like drinking lots of wine. I think we all were. Drowning in crumbs, basically, on my couch, like growing roots into the couch. And he just looked at me and he said, why don't you do that podcast you've been talking about for a long time on menopause? And so I decided to do that. And so then between 2021 to 2022, I did 62 podcasts around menopause. So I interviewed a lot of fabulous women like Robin Malcolm, Jennifer Wood Leland, Mariama Kamo, also some trans individuals like Hugo Girl, who recently had fun with Destiny Church in the Te Atatu Peninsula. Fuck that guy. Yeah, exactly. So I interviewed lots of fabulous people, and it was amazing, and I just loved it. I got a bit sick of menopause after a few years, and so I decided to sort of spread it out a little bit to encounter all different women and trans people of all different ages, and just talk about bodies in general, our fleshy bone bags that we all have so much that we're hung up about, etc. And if you're wondering why it's called Showy Ovaries, it was because once I was getting an ultrasound of the area, and an ultrasound technician said, oh, you've got very showy ovaries. And I was like, what? Are they jazz handing in there? Which is like how I like to think of them, basically, jazz handing away. So anyway, that's a little bit of a background on Showy Ovaries, but I think I'm now going to bring on my fabulous guests. So please welcome and make a big, huge WOMAD welcome, please, for Morgana O'Reilly. Keep it going.
All the way out. Get me all the way out.
There you go.
Kia ora koutou. Oh, yes. What a turnout.
Take it. Look at
beautiful people.
Like a busy bee over here. Looks resplendent.
Yes, look, you can see which hive I'm from.
Oh, yes. I thought you were going to say you can see what you've had for breakfast, but that's different.
I'll keep my legs closed.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's quite all right. Have you been to WOMAD before?
Not since I was about 12, and it was at Western Springs Park in Auckland, and my mum's dance company had a show on, and I just remember spending the weekend roaming around with bare feet, just having the best time.
Having the best time. Did you sneak any alcohol in at age 12?
Look, I think that's actually what was so cool about WOMAD, is that I wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
at other times in my life. Around that age, I really was. But there, I didn't feel it because, of course, there's so much going on. And, music festival, you just feel like the best version of yourself.
Yeah. It's a wonderful vibe. Who's been to WOMAD before? Make some noise. Who's popping their WOMAD cherry? Make some noise. How exciting. Welcome. We'll try and be gentle with you.
Yes, we'll have some incense, a candle.
Indeed. Now, I have actually got quite a long introduction for you.
Oh, cool.
So I thought I would just jump in and do that straight away so we can have a little bit of idea of Morgana. Who's been watching the White Lotus? Yeah. Fantastic.
Sawadee-ka.
That's Sawadee-ka. Very good. So here we are. Morgana O'Reilly was born in 1985.
Yes.
She grew up in the artist enclave of Ponsonby, Grey Lynn, and got her flair for performance, no doubt, from her mother, Mary Jane O'Reilly, co-founder of the Limbs Dance Company. Morgana attended Unitec Drama School and graduated in 2006, and since then has basically performed non-stop on stage, film and TV, with a brief stint behind the bar at the Basement Theatre in Auckland, and having her feet licked in a New York fetish club. We will get to that. She performed her solo work, The Height of the Eiffel Tower, in Edinburgh and New York fringes, was cast as Stella in ATC's Streetcar Named Desire, has been in Nothing Trivial, Rosehaven, Wentworth, My Life is Murder, and even sashayed around Ramsay Street in Neighbours repeatedly. She was in the indie hit Housebound, won an International Emmy Award for her lockdown series Inside, and of course is currently starring in season 3 of Mike White's global phenomenon White Lotus. But the reason I first approached her to be on this podcast is she has a solo show called Stories About My Body, which she has been touring all over the world with great success, which the Post called an hilarious, powerful and provocative solo show in which she talks of diary entries that I can relate to and giving birth that I cannot, and has led to the climax of her life that is here today performing in Showy Ovaries at WOMAD. So please give a massive one more round for Morgana O'Reilly.
What a welcome. I love it. Amazing.
How do you feel about hearing all of that together at once?
Look, it's like when you watch a documentary about an artist, and I always feel like I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not working hard enough. But of course, that's about 19 years of work condensed into
absolutely.
that. So it feels really cool.
That's a huge amount. So yes, I mean, you've done a lot. That's a huge amount. And you're not even 40 yet.
Not quite yet.
This year you'll be 40. And how do you feel about turning 40?
I feel really good, actually, because I feel like, come on, let's just do it now. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the last kind of 3 years have felt like in weight of 40, I think maybe is this a thing in each decade, where the last 3 years of the decade that you're in, everyone's like, yeah, but you're pretty much.
So you just round up.
Yeah, totally. And I feel
Swedish
like,
rounding up.
Yes, I had children in my early 30s and then COVID happens. I feel like I kind of woke up in my late 30s and was like, oh. And so, let's just do 40. Great. Love it.
I was quite happy turning 40 because I had someone that I was in love with who's just there. Yes, that one there. To be secure with someone. I'm not saying if you're not, that you shouldn't care about turning 40. But for me, it was like I was reasonably happy where my career was going in some aspects, and having somebody to share it with. Has that did you feel happy about where you are in life?
Well, yeah, especially at the moment. Like, the last 2 years have been really amazing work-wise. Like, personally, I've got a gorgeous husband who's dressed as a bee.
Oh, he's dressed as a bee?
And a lovely son, Ziggy.
Dressed
and
as
a beautiful daughter, Luna. They're from my hive.
Right, okay.
And so we're really wonderful
Rocking
in
life.
that respect. And then, and work has, for the most part, been awesome. But there was darkest before the dawn, right? I think 2023 was a particularly hard year for me. It was very testing professionally. And then things, I think, true transformation hurts. So I kind of went, and I didn't want to kind of keep playing by the rules, whatever I saw them to be, and made my own show, and then came to every audition that I was doing with you're just going to get me. You're just going to get what I have, and what I have is unique. It's mine. And as soon as I did that, lots of work rolled in. So.
Right, okay. People say that a lot. Yes, round of applause.
Yeah, thank
round
you.
of applause. Round of applause. Yes, round of applause. So what we have to talk about, we want to talk about this immediately because everyone's fascinated, I'm sure. What was it like being on the White Lotus?
Oh, amazing. Really, I never know how to answer because there's so much waiting around when you're filming a show like that. So many different storylines that a lot of people are waiting for days on end to shoot. So the shoot part was great and I felt really familiar in that space. And then the social part was probably for me the most challenging because that's where the imposter syndrome started. And I'm a pretty extroverted, confident person, and even I was like, oh my goodness, gearing myself up to go to like another actor's pool party at their villa. You can do it, you may as well just go.
Who was the nice people? Like, was Parker Posey cool?
Oh, yes.
I love Parker Posey. She's like I'm an improviser. She's done a lot of improvising, and she's pretty fabulous.
Yeah, so I feel like once I found my people, which was Parker Posey found me, she just made me hers, which was very nice. Aunt Parker, as she told you to call her.
Right.
And Natasha Rothwell and Shalini Perry's. We had a little crew going on. It was good.
Right, fabulous. What was Walton Goggins like?
He's great.
I just want to say his name, Walton Goggins.
It's like a voice warmer.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Right. So, did you have imposter syndrome in the shooting? No, it was more the chatting.
No, well, actually, like it was kind of a wonderfully profound thing of like arriving there on set, which of course is we're all staying at the Four Seasons in Koh Samui.
Was it amazing?
Yes, outrageous. Do you know, I think I always thought that I was quite wealthy with my lovely little modest 3-bedroom home in Sandringham.
Well, if you own a home in Sandringham, you are wealthy.
We are lucky, but then seeing that, I can see how people who are really wealthy actually live, and we're not wealthy. No, like we're doing great. I'm very happy. But so getting into that situation. And it's like this beautiful, the opulence is incredible. It's filled with famous people. And that was kind of full on and confronting. But then going to set, I was like, I know this bit. I'm good at this bit. And when they, and I knew that once they could see me work, I would have a reason to be there. And actually I was like, I've worked 17 years for this. So like, watch this.
Yeah.
Are you recording? Yeah. Well, watch this.
Watch what I can do. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! That was like, oh no! Who's coming? Like, and so did they try to get you to change your accent?
The character was Australian from the audition, and I did that. And then when I got the role, and I had a meeting with Mike, and I asked him, "Would you be interested in exploring this character as a Kiwi?" And he just said, "Oh, sure, do whatever you like." And I was like, oh no, you don't know what kind of decision that is. You don't know what it means. And I pained over it for weeks. I tried to strong arm her into being a New Zealander. And I showed it to friends. I would say, like, what do you think's best? Like this or like this? Like this or like this? You know, like doing the scenes. And everyone was like, the Australian one. She just was funnier. There was something funnier. And also I think, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm naive, but I felt like New Zealand doesn't have that same high-end wellness. Like that really sort of like in my mind there's the wellness that sort of gets a bit more WOMAD-y, you know what I mean? Like that really like opulent, I'm just going to throw a lot of money at trying to feel spiritually aligned.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot more money to throw around in Australia in general.
Yeah, that's right.
Even the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Jesus
so it
Christ.
was my little like elbow at the Aussies in the end. All my Australian friends messaged me and they're like, I love that you kept your natural accent. And I was like, how I talk.
Yeah, I do. I wasn't sure. I have to say. I think I was
Look, I pop in and out. You know, it's
Yeah.
not enough. But surely
that was
sold it.
Yeah. That's like when he's coming towards you. So anyway, so I thought we'd get that White Lotus stuff done. But now I'm going to ask you the question I ask everybody. It is a big question. It can take hours to talk about, but we have a certain amount of time, and that is, what has your relationship with your body been like, and what journey has that been on?
Yeah. All right, baby.
It starts at the very beginning.
Conception.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody comfortable? My children in the front row. Wow.
She's got such an angelic smile as well.
Look, I think it's probably, as is probably everybody's journey, so to speak. It's been rocky. And then now, I mean, ironically, I have made a lot of my living on it, not just working with it because it is functional, but with the show that I have called Stories About My Body, which is literally stories about my body, and now we've made it into a film. And so it's funny that a thing that caused me a fair amount of anxiety as a younger person is now something that I can use to make art and hopefully make other people feel better about their bodies. And so, yeah,
Why not? Here we go. Hooray.
Turn it into art, baby.
Yeah.
I see myself, my sense of self and identity, and at a certain point in adolescence, probably much like a lot of people, and especially as a female presenting person, they veer off in two spaces, right? Of one, who you feel you are, and one, how everyone sees you. And I think there's a fair amount of commentary, social commentary around this anyway, but that in a female body, you have your body, the way you look, is a commodity in a different way than it is for male presenting people. It's the thing that can totally get you out of a speeding ticket. It's the thing that can get you a free drink at a bar, but it's also a thing that can have you pre-assumed to be something. It can have you overlooked or looked at. Women are hypersensitive of it, and I think if there's ever any intertwining jealousy with other women, it is a subconscious understanding of that currency, that somebody is getting more attention and more priority simply because of the way she looks or age she is. So at adolescence, when those two parts of yourself start to segment, and what I'm hoping for my daughter is they don't segment. She holds herself, and the way she looks isn't tethered to her value in the world. So we'll see. That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I've got my friends. I'm like, don't you look pretty and intelligent?
I know. Well, I also really like there is this a thing a friend of mine said a while ago, because there is that thing that you want to do when a young girl especially gets all dolled up.
Yeah.
And you go, don't you look beautiful? The thing is, they always look beautiful, right? So you say, don't you look fancy? Don't you look shiny? Oh, hey, yes, you're looking really zhuzhed up or something like that.
Yeah.
That sort of is some good language around trying to sort of explore the ways that we do that segmenting between the way you look and who you really are.
So how was the segmenting for you?
So the segmenting for me, I think it was a fairly severe one. I remember there was only one sport that I excelled at, and that was swimming. And then when I was about 12, I didn't want people to see me in my togs anymore, so I stopped swimming.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the very end of high school that I thought I might give it a go again, you know, like things like that. So, which is a shame, because I like swimming, and I was really good at it.
And you just blossomed in places you weren't expecting, or?
No, but and then some. I was chubby, and I didn't look like my dancer mum who in all her photos.
What was that like, having a quite famous dancey mum with that different physicality?
Well, like very proud of that, but also I think I thought I should look like something else. And I don't need to point fingers anywhere in particular. Everyone was doing the best they could, right? But my self-esteem in that space was lower than it should have been, which meant I did things that I shouldn't have been doing at such a young age.
Like
Smooching boys and then some. And I realize now it's a really recent discovery that I think it was low self-esteem in that space that looked for.
Yeah, you were
that.
People are paying attention to me because I'm willing to pash a lot of dudes or boys, etc.
And then my body changed. I went to a nutritionist.
At what age?
Like about 12.
Right.
And I lost a lot of weight, and the world responded to me different, and it was intoxicating.
Right.
So that then also taught me, like, if you look a certain way, the world responds differently. Like, you really do get special treatment.
So
like,
you were getting more male attention at that age from losing weight.
Because also you want it. Like, I was like, I want to smooch the boys. They never wanted to smooch me until I looked a certain way. So I think that was a learning curve, you know.
So when was it? Because you talked about some diary entries in your show.
Yes.
So when was that when you were
So that would have been like 12, 13. We start to really get into that space of just absolutely loathing my body. Like, it wasn't doing what I was wanting it to do, which this would have been late 90s, and now we're able to really look back at that era, which I remember that. Do you remember how in the 90s I feel like we said, it's the 90s a lot? Like as though it was like this really futuristic era. Come on, man, it's the 90s.
I remember about the 90s that it was like we had this whole ladette culture. So I'm 10 years older than you. So I was living in the UK, and it was all like, everybody get drunk and like fuck loads of dudes and like, it's all good. But then, aren't you a slut? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was
so
both of those
classic.
things. There was a lot of slut shaming. There was a lot of,
Body
Paris
shaming,
Hilton.
massive body shaming.
Or like Paris Hilton's boyfriend leaks her sex tape and she's the slut.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much of that, and sexualizing Britney Spears and then being surprised when she shaved her hair off.
Yeah.
Just like this sort of stuff, and then
so
coming
it was
of
sort of
age.
like feminism, it was kind of like the idea of it was there, but then I also feel like even for women, it was about trying to deny the hyper feminine. I remember it was all about being a tomboy, so masculinizing yourself, which is so fine. I can see if you looking at the timeline of feminism, it makes perfect sense. But unfortunately, the patriarchy was still way stronger then, so it could just like smash. Yeah,
I know.
So I can
keep
see where it was coming from at that age, but we still weren't really talking about it.
So what were you saying in your diary?
I was saying that I was sort of as though I was coming to a realization that I was fat. That word, it still makes me feel really sore.
Did you go back to look at your diaries after some time and discover that?
They're literally under lock and key. So when I made this show, I have this show called Stories About My Body, and the whole idea, and I would sort of muse on this. I was like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run out topless, which I do, and apologize profusely for being late, because boobs are never treated as funny. They're always treated as either really hypersexual or hyper mumsy.
Yeah.
And I used to do this gag for my friend Kura Forrester when we were sharing a dressing room, and I would pretend I was running late, topless, and everything flies about, and it's hilarious. I was like, so I'll do that. And then I'll share diary entries from my intermediate school diaries. And then I will tell all these other stories, which I'll tell you about later. But so when it came to making the show, I dug up the diary. It was literally in a locked box. Dust.
Right.
And went through them. And what was so interesting and also sad is a lot of the diary is just like a girl of that age should be. Like, today was so crazy. We went to the movies, and then I ate 2 fruit juice in a row. Whoa, I don't know.
Exciting.
And then straddling this double life of that versus talking about boys, talking about wanting to try alcohol and all the things. And when the boys stuff starts to come in, then also my reflexivity, my internal male observer starts speaking,
About being fat or...
Yes, there's this one bit which is in the show, which is, maybe it didn't even make the film, but it's, I'm fat, because you know how most people think they're fat and ugly, etc. Right, well, I thought that might be just like me, but I really am fat. I really am fat. And like this awful, I remember, and I've done this since, clinging on to this idea like maybe it is just that thing, because I know what it's like when a friend of mine is complaining about how she looks and you're looking at her being like, you're drop dead gorgeous, I don't understand, and I go, oh, maybe that's just like me. And then this girl in my diary, me, comes to this conclusion, quote unquote, that she is not, this is not a figment of her imagination, it's
fact.
real. It's so awful.
Yeah, I hadn't read my diaries for quite a while, and I did a show about reading things from my diaries.
Right.
And I went back and looked at them, and it broke my heart. I'm getting vaguely emotional even thinking about saying what I said, but I say at one point, because I had an epileptic seizure in sixth form in school assembly.
Oof.
That was fun. Yeah, that was the best time. And when I came to, my first question, because we'd just done a first aid course, was, I didn't lose control of my bodily functions, did I?
Oh my God.
Because I thought of, shitting myself in school assembly. No, I did not. But then I'm looking at my diary, and it says, I can't believe I'm epileptic. I can't believe it. First, I'm fat. Second, I'm not particularly attractive. And now this. I know, you can laugh, whatever, but it was just like, and then I read that and just burst, and like I'm getting teary now, because you just put yourself back in that place of that pain.
Yes.
And you are, and I don't remember that it was that much pain, but also I didn't have any boyfriends. In my whole diary, I wished that I could have been smooching lots of boys. But when I got to university, I lost a lot of weight, and then I had a lot of sex at university. And then you just go, you realize, and then I had this internalizing, oh, you're a slut. And then you realize I was actually making the most of something that I had not had for so long. And, and also seeking validation from that.
That's the self-esteem thing, which
Yes.
I think was such a revelation for me. It was a video I saw on Instagram, which was sort of going, if you want your kid to have safety, especially online, this was what it was in context of that. But I see it as everything is pump them up with as much confidence, especially in how they look and who they are, so then they won't seek it outside of that. In every other sense, I really had that in my life.
Yeah, because your mum was very supportive, right?
Oh, they're both so supportive. Like, they were just, my parents are my best audience and always have.
And they are, like, I haven't actually seen Morgana for a while, but I've run into your mother quite a bit, and she's always telling me how great you are. She's like, she's in White Lotus, and she's doing this, and she's doing that. She's very proud.
So great. And I'm so proud of them, and it is, whereas, and my parents, but my mum was a victim of that whole Jane Fonda and, losing weight and jazzercise and all of that. Because my parents were always like, would you like a piece of fruit? And then I realized the reason I got hungry was because I started taking that epilepsy medication. I didn't realize that what was making me hungry for another 16 years. So that was me trying to fight against that and not understanding why I couldn't lose weight for 16 years because of that. And then getting told to have a piece of fruit and stuff. That sort of shit grinds you down. So when did you start realizing that you were quite fabulous? Because you are quite fabulous. Thank you.
Have you realized that now?
I have, but it's still a practice, because now I think of it like an allergy. I know what my triggers are that make me want to hate on myself. In one sense, I feel very lucky that I've always, and this is due to my parents' adoration and love.
How nice would that be if everybody have parental adoration?
Well, yeah, like that. I trust my skill, but my body takes the hit a fair amount. So I understand what my triggers are, which will spiral me into feeling and being really mean to myself physically. Being tired, being run down, a recent disappointment, being hungover, having had a really big meal that is not very healthy. Not to say that you shouldn't do that, but now I realize that feeling can then trigger those feelings of hating the way that I look and go, it's all right, you've just had a burger, you're full.
Just go to the bathroom.
It's all right. But just understanding those triggers are important, because then you can unpack it. This is not a consistent, like the way that I look in the mirror can change by the hour if I've had a walk or not. So that's very obvious that it's my the chemical state of my brain, how good my body is working, and how healthy do I feel. So it's not real. This stuff is not real. And then also like coming to a lovely realization and understanding that social beauty standards it's just a collective opinion. That's what it is. So if I add a different opinion in there, so when somebody's talking about their lines on their face, love them. I love them. I love them. Gorgeous. Yes, have them. That's my addition to the collective opinion. Yes, this shape, love it. Instead of playing along with the social, as though, yes, it's enforced on you to a certain extent, but then it is also, you're in it. You can manipulate it, you can change it, talking to your friends, amplifying their positivity around certain things, helping them change something, the way they see something. Like an older woman was saying to me the other day, I've got this pigmentation here. I'm like, I think it's actually great. What if it's great? Like, what if that is actually really beautiful, interesting, different thing?
It's interesting.
Like, why not add that to the conversation?
I feel like you get to a point and you feel like that, and then something else falls apart.
Well, that's when you go. That's when you understand your triggers, which send you down that rabbit hole.
Which is getting fucking older.
And that's why it's a practice. It is a practice. Otherwise, surely, if you're not doing this practice, then getting older is just going to get harder and harder and harder.
And it does.
Because
I mean, I love your optimism, and I've known that. I've known about, you're like, oh, just accept it, and then you just go, what is happening now?
Oh no, I do that too.
Yeah, but
I've done that the whole time. And also, the other thing is, you all know that you've done that, and then 10 years later, you look at that photo and you're like, you were gorgeous, you were great. Yeah. So one day you'll be 99 looking at the photo of you at 89, you were like, you were great, look at me now, I'm fucked.
Whereas when I was overweight in high school, 10 years later, I looked much better than I looked in high school.
See, there's always hope.
I could be like Benjamin Button. Yeah. But it is like new stuff. Like, have you discovered any, like, I have one here now. Just one that comes here, but I can't see it very well now to try and pluck it.
And do you find it grows super? Like, I've got the one here, and it's like it's not there, and I reckon it grows in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It just goes,
it's like a dahlia in summer. It just goes boom. And then, like...
I like to fondle it first for a few hours. I really like to make it work, Oof,
right.
Lovely. And then I conform.
Yeah, because it's under here, it's really annoying though, because you can't see.
Oh, but you can fondle it.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yes,
it's very sharp.
You can Jane fondle that.
I have to go and get my husband's reading glasses because I don't need them yet. Anyway. Yes. So what was your 20s like with your body?
Well, then I think I think I've always felt in conversation with myself around this stuff anyway, because I'm a total righteous feminist at heart. So I think, again, it would just fluctuate, but it was less articulate. So if I didn't get an acting job, I assumed it was because of that. If I was thoroughly hungover, then I was way bigger than I was the next day.
Did you get any parts that played into, I got auditions for the girl to do gymnastics on a beam, and the ad was for reinforced wood?
Oh my goodness me.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, I got this audition a few years ago, which just made me laugh so much. But if I was in a worse state of mind, it could have really spiraled me. But it was my manager, and he sent me this audition, and then he doesn't always preface it with an email, but this one he was like, hey, I really think you got to go for this one. You would be perfect. And I looked at the character description, and it literally just said 30s, plump. Whoa!
Yeah, well.
This is for you. You're gonna be great. Whoa! Can you imagine if that hit you on a bad day?
Oh, I had so many like that. I got one that said, not conventionally attractive or typically attractive at all, possibly overweight, possibly not, but has a sense of home comfort about her.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, my agent read that and went, I know just the girl.
I know who that is.
And then Jackie Van Beek got that part. And I'm like, she's willowy and gorgeous. Fuck you. Or another time I had this audition for a ballroom dancing nurse. the doctor on Shortland Street.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
A
ballroom dancing nurse.
This was for Shortland Street.
Oh, I see.
I was in Shortland Street for 3 episodes in the year 2000. I was a gynecologist. Yes.
Yes.
You probably recognise my work. Yeah, I was like, let me just warm this up for you. No. 3 episodes, but one was for a ballroom dancing nurse. I didn't get this part that the doctor didn't want to dance with because she was too fat. I know. And then when I didn't get the part, Rachel Nash got the part, and I was like, I'm fatter than her. Sort of stuff. So you haven't had too many of those.
Well, I feel like now that they're getting way more savvy with that stuff, because then I also would go like, who's the agent who allows that to get to you?
Yeah.
They should read that and be like, I've got just the person. I know who's in their 30s and plump. Anyway, but that shouldn't come to you. Anyway. But so, but I've been asked respectfully to lose weight, for a part, which you sort of go, well, why did you hire me?
Yeah.
Anyway, but I've gotten stroppier, way stroppier now. So
do you feel like you've got more power now that you've been on the White Lotus?
Yes.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had a favourite part?
Oh, I've had so many favourite parts. I've had parts that have really gotten under my skin and have really, I think most people have a kind of understanding of what a method actor is, right? Somebody who lives the role. And I'm not a method actor, but every role that I do becomes part of me for the few months that I do it. And some more than others. And so like Stella in Streetcar Named Desire or Nicole in Friends Like Her, 2 roles that in particular really got under my skin, and I found it really hard to leave them behind afterwards, and really kind of like drained, like it felt like an exorcism by the end.
Do you have a favourite between stage and screen?
No, not necessarily. I found them both like very different. They're same meat, different gravy. They have some elements which are really, I feel like you're always acting, but with a slightly different pitch.
Yeah.
And then with stage, I love that it's like you have to be the editor. You get to adjust the rhythms. Whereas on screen, I sort of use the analogy like you're offering up as many colours as you can for the editor to then paint the picture afterwards.
Right, okay, gotcha. I love the immediacy of an audience.
Oh, yeah.
And because I'm a comedian, there we go. I like laughter, I like feedback for that way. So do you miss that when you're doing screen stuff?
At first, it's very strange.
Yeah,
and
because you do both quite a lot, so that's quite a shift.
Yeah, and then you get used to how it will work. So you start to get, especially comedy on screen, you start to get a good feeling for making the crew laugh, or you making your other actors laugh, and you just have to hold it until cut. Whereas instead of the kind of riding the waves of laughter, but there's lots of, like, if you have been watching the White Lotus, like there's a scene where I come in with a blender, and if you haven't watched it yet, like you can just know this. Is that I just
spoiler?
Well, I just was trying to keep myself interested the whole time, so I just did this stupid gag with a blender that I was trying really hard to open it, and it wouldn't open until it sort of burst open. And the only reason I was doing that is because the 2 Thai art department boys off camera just cracking up. And I just had my own little audience, like Parker Posey, and they're all doing their scene over here, and these guys are just like cracking up about the blender gag. I was like, this is for you, boys.
What was it like? So you had a big premiere, right?
Yes.
In LA?
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh my gosh, it was like a dream. It was like lying in bed as a teenager, like dreaming about what my future could hold, dream come true. I was really preparing myself to feel pushed aside for more famous people. And to be honest, I didn't really care about that. What I did care about, I just was like, I just don't want to look like a dick. I don't want to feel like a spare prick at a whore's wedding. If nobody wants to take photos of me, that's fine. I'll stand off to the side. I just don't want to feel like I'm trying for I'm a Leo, She loves the spotlight, but she doesn't like trying for it. But I didn't. I felt so welcome. It was genuinely so lovely to see the cast because I know them now. I don't have that imposter syndrome anymore.
Right.
And also, I didn't realize this, but when you go onto a red carpet, there is a handler. You get given a handler, a person who basically walks you through it. Thank God. So you go and they go, great, okay, stand there. And they're taking a photo now. And you're like, oh, okay. Do all that. And then they go, that's it, move along. You're like, okay. And then you can talk to these people now. Okay, hello. And they go, hi. And so I felt really like I was allowed to be there. I was worthy of being there. And then we all went and watched the first episode. And my character got such a big laugh. So again, at the after party, people, I loved you. I'm like, yes, you did.
Did you have a stylist?
I did. I worked with a wonderful stylist. It meant a lot to me to have all Kiwi designers.
Fantastic.
A Kiwi stylist. And so I wore Harris Tapper and beautiful Dan Uffa, who's a stylist, and he also does Viva magazine. So he was amazing.
And did you so are you fully through, have you accepted yourself completely now, or you just have those triggers that you avoid? But getting dressed for something like that, it's a big deal. You're going to have a lot of photos taken. So how did you feel about your body in that space?
Well, I felt really good, especially because at the moment I feel like I'm healthier than I've ever been in my entire life.
Fantastic.
I know these things, that it's not just about how you think, it's whether I move my body. I won't call it exercise because I feel like that can be triggering and it can be kind of wanky. I need to move my body. If I need to walk it, I'm like a dog. It needs to be walked. It needs to be pushed. I need to do something. If I do that, my brain feels happier and it likes me more. Good food, good mood. Right? It takes you 40 years to figure out what you like to eat, what works for you, what doesn't. That wheat makes me feel sad. It's not that I'm intolerant. It's fun at that bit, but when it gets to about here, I just feel a bit sad. It's good to know.
Fantastic. So you're taking all this into the space of dressing and feeling fabulous.
That, of course, when I go to something like that, my body's in a good space. My body is a part of my mind now. I think that's what's nice, is I just feel a lot more zen in myself.
So now, having children...
And that's not an accident. I've worked really hard at that.
Yeah, right. Fantastic.
And it's not just because I've dieted and lost weight. I've realized now that it's not about dieting and exercise, even though it is, but they're different words, right? They are eating well and moving my body.
It's a lifestyle. That whole thing about
it's a lifestyle. It's an absolute lifestyle.
It is. But that is true, and that's important. Now, you've squeezed some humans out.
Yes, I squeezed them out.
And I am so not anti, I love it when other people squeeze them out, but it terrifies me, and I've never wanted them. So have you always wanted kids?
I think I have, yes. As a child, I personified everything. I think Mum used to tell me a story of tucking pot plants into bed, everything. I remember I would go at primary school, I would use the toilet that none of the other kids used because they felt sorry for it. I remember sitting in it and being like, it's okay, I'll sit in you.
Was it covered in things?
I don't know.
Oh my
yes,
God.
Probably.
That's hilarious.
But I didn't care. Poor toilet.
Okay.
So yes, I have always...
How was that, the glory of your body in creating life?
Yes, but then also, I keep using the word triggering, and I'm sorry because I know it's probably kind of like one of those,
It's fine.
Words that people roll their eyes at, but when you first get pregnant, it's kind of crazy feeling I remember I was on Neighbours at the time and nobody knew that I was pregnant. My costume started to get too small for me, and that's a kind of a confronting moment of being like, people start calling you fatty as a cute little nickname when you're pregnant.
Right.
That's not cool.
And was that triggering back to how you used to feel about yourself?
Yes, because all these, anyway, you just feel like you're losing control. It's a very grotesque shape you turn into in a comparatively short amount of time. You're hormonally pretty in an intense space anyway. So
I thought it was a beautiful state, but you call it grotesque.
It sort of gets to a beautiful state, but that first bit, people don't talk about. The first bit is as hard as the last bit, I think. If you've been pregnant, you know. The first bit, you're pukey, and you're so tired. You're bone-crushingly tired. And your mood, I remember catching myself walking through the supermarket, whispering under my breath, kill. Everyone just rocked me off. But you don't look pregnant. People don't know to move the fuck out of your way. Let me sit down. I remember I was on Neighbours. I was standing in 6-inch heels, working in 36-degree heat, and they were taking ages to roll up, ages to say action, And I knew if they knew I was pregnant, they would have offered me a chair in a heartbeat. I was really struggling, And I just was like, oh, I hate everything. And then it's cool. And then it turns out I love giving birth, and I'm so good at it. So that's cool.
Okay, what? How are you good?
No, let's change the narrative. Come on, look.
Explain good at it.
Look, I read something very early on that said fear equals tension, tension equals pain. It's not like the most pleasant feeling, but I attribute it to being very similar to showing up on stage.
Okay.
And if you have a director through your whole rehearsal process saying, you could lose your lines. That could be huge for you. This could end your career. Like if you mess up, oh no. It's not going to help. You're going to be really tense on stage, and you're not going to do your best work.
Yeah.
And so that resonated with me, and I prepared myself mentally, and on the birthday, I decided I would rather not get in the car, and I had Luna in the bathtub.
In your actual bathtub, not a birthing pool, in your bathtub. Right.
Fuck it. It was fine. I'm not getting in the car. I have to pay for parking.
Oh my God. What are all these?
Petrol.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I'm in it now. I'm in it. Also, it's like doing a poo. Your body is about to open up and become very vulnerable. Where do you like to poo? At home.
Wow.
I know it's different for everybody.
All these other
Some
whiny
people might quite
bitches.
like a hospital poo.
Yeah, that's right. All these other women just whining about giving birth. I'll be like, Morgana just says, just trust it and have a poo. Right.
Did you look, you can totally whine about it. It really hurts.
Yes. Now, did it give you a brand new appreciation of your corporal self, having made children?
Not immediately. It did in one sense, absolutely. I think, and the crazy thing is, as soon as baby comes out, but then this speaks to the old shit, the old problems. But as soon as baby comes out, and then all of a sudden I can do up a shirt that I couldn't do up for months, I'm like, I'm a supermodel, I'm incredible. Oh my goodness. Wow. And then a few weeks later, the old thought patterns come back into play,
right?
And which is crazy. Instead of sort of showing gratitude and amazement at what your body has just achieved, it's amazing how those voices can override the reality, which is what a clever body. It is literally a magician. It literally grew fingernails. It made a penis out of another penis.
It's like a Russian doll situation.
It's like a Russian doll situation. I am a genius. I didn't even think about it. I made a liver.
And you just did it. Well done.
Yes.
Do you have a favourite part of your own body?
I thought you were going to say, do you have a favourite child? No. I know. Do I have a favourite part of my body? Look, I have to say I was very blessed I received my father's legs.
Oh, yes.
And they're very nice.
Round of applause.
Do you like this? Yes, I love my legs and my eyes and my smile.
You have got a very good smile. And those teeth. Have you had braces?
No.
Oh my God, look at you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I have a really big mouth. There's so much room. I even have my wisdom teeth, which is why I'm so wide.
Obviously. Excellent. Is there any part of you that you haven't accepted?
Oh!
So convincing. Oh my God.
Oh, this bit. No, I'm accepting. This is actually maybe this whole shtick about like, love it, is just a survival mechanism. Be like, well, look. See, if I had millions of dollars, I probably just would have like chopped it off and done all this stuff. That wouldn't have helped.
No.
It would have just sort of covered up that feeling in that moment. And then by this point in my life, I would look like Kourtney Kardashian. I look strange.
Very strange. I do get a Botox though.
You
I do
get a bit of
I do
both.
get both
How old
vibes.
were you when you went
I was
in
actually
there?
really young because I got these bags under my eyes and I hated them. So I was in my 30s.
Gorgeous. What do you like?
Yeah, that's right. I'm reframing it. Look at these suitcases that I'm carrying around. Love them. They're Samsonite. So I got a little bit for that, and I still get a little bit for the crow's feet thing. When I was 28, I wrote a poem about how crow's feet, they just show how much you laugh and smile and orgasm, and isn't it great? And then I got to 35, and I was like, put some Botox in it. So it's that, and it's so true. You know what you're supposed to do, but it's like to really sort of get to that point and accept it. Like me with the weight thing, man. And for me, it used to be just before a period. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm an elephant. And then I get my period and go, oh, that's right.
Yes.
So, yeah,
It's not happening. These aren't necessarily real. They all come into context.
Yes. Now, I'm sorry, one thing we haven't talked about
Yes.
is it might not be your favourite part, but obviously some men were very fond of your feet. Tell us about working in a New York fetish club with your feet.
Yeah, so I sold my toes like a whore.
No, like an important. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's
Like
right.
a whore,
That's right.
and I love it, and I'm proud.
Okay.
So I had been traveling all around the world for most of 2009. I got to New York at the end of the trip. Everyone said, oh, it's so easy to get a job. And I looked and looked and looked, but it was the recession. It was so hard. I found a job at a cafe. They paid me $2.50 an hour.
Oh, welcome to America.
Plus tips, and in the weekend, nothing per hour plus tips. So I wanted to go home by this point. I needed to make my airfare. So
Did you say nothing an hour?
plus tips. Nothing an hour, baby. Anyway, so my Craigslist searches got a bit weirder. And I found an ad that said foot worship parties. Can make up to $300 a night. No funny business. And I thought, oh my gosh.
No funny
I
business.
love my feet. They're the only part of my body I've consistently liked. So
Right, and
I,
other people agreed.
Yeah, I went and they had a casting. That was the first thing that I had to do. And if I got in, I got to go work at the party that night. And it's basically like a bar, and you walk around like war. And in my togs. And
In your togs?
Yes, because they would say every week was themed differently for the girls, like swimsuits or lingerie. And I I was a backpacker. I had togs, all the nice ones, all the nice black togs. And I've got some heels that I got at a thrift store, and we're good. And and you walk around and you get people to sit down with you, and if they're licking your toes, it's $20 every 10 minutes.
$20 every too late. And so
And
what
adjusted
that-
for inflation, that's about $30 every 10 minutes.
explain to me the sensation of having your feet licked by strangers.
Look, as you might have assumed, I have a fairly good sense of humour, so I thought it was pretty hilarious. Which is ridiculous. I just was like, this is hilarious. It's a dark and sleazy bar, and some dude's got my foot halfway down his throat, and he's paying me for it. Yes, boy.
Because I'm quite ticklish.
Same. It takes a lot. You have to really suck it up, Penny. You just got to play the part. Oh, yeah. And then next minute, you're walking back to the D train at 3 a.m. with a bra full of US dosh, and you feel amazing. Oh.
You feel amazing.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, we're nearly at the end of our time on those notes. Is there anything you'd like to plug at all that you've got coming up?
Oh, well, this show that I do tell lots of stories, and it's called Stories About My Body, and my husband and I have made it into a film. It's very meta because I also tell the love story of us meeting. I happened to meet him in New York around the same time.
Did he come to you?
No, but he did. I think that was a real draw card when he was like, what are you doing in New York? And I told him, and I think he literally did the and then we tell
This chick's up for good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And so that will come out this year in some capacity. So keep an ear out for that. And yeah,
Fantastic.
I think you'll be sick of the sight of me soon enough.
Sick of the sight of you. And because you can't tell us possibly. You might be that White Lotus person that travels around like the current lady. Imagine that. You could be on every scene.
I wish. Look, I don't think anyone, even Natasha didn't know that she was coming back until...
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Hooray. Fantastic. Now, I'm just going to do a selfie. Can I get everyone, please, to put your hands up in the air and wave them around like you just don't care. Very
Like
good.
you really don't care,
Really,
okay?
really high up, and we're going to do a little selfie. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Can we have a massive round of applause for Morgana O'Reilly?
It was so fun.
Thanks for coming to
talk
Showy
all
Ovaries.
night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you,
Very much. Thank you, Morgana. I'm just going to suck your feet.
$20. Thanks very much.